Hello and welcome to Sustainably Talking Live. A slight question mark as to whether people have been hearing me this morning. Can you hear me, Nicole? Oh dear, well that's not the greatest start we've ever had. I don't know what to do with that.
Well, I can hear you, Mike.
Can everyone else hear me?
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Nicole, can you hear me?
Nicole, can you hear Nadio?
Nicole can't hear any of us.
I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
that's a good thing. That makes sense.
Well, Mike, you know what to say.
All right. Okay. Well,
Nicole knows what to say. You just signed to Nicole. Nicole, start talking.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Sustainably Talking Live. Now, I did some research and I asked ChatGPT whether or not AI was good. I asked ChatGPT whether or not AI damaged our ability to do critical thinking. And it said, yes, it does. So that's it then, really. Thank you very much indeed for joining Sustainably Talking today. And see you next week.
Oh dear. Okay, Mike. I'm assuming that's satire. If not, we're going to need to have a side conversation after the podcast. But in all honesty, this is exactly why the topic matters. Humans have this habit of swinging between utopianism and moral panic every time a major technology appears. We all know this. Historically, the pattern has been surprisingly consistent, actually. And it could be anything from like fear, fascination, adoption, dependence. I mean, it's then the normalization of the technology. And we saw that with writing and books and trains, radio, television. I mean, back in the day when trains started, they thought that your organs would fly out if you rode the train. So, of course, this is just another part of new technology. And then the internet, and then smartphones and social media, and now we're in AI. And what changes is not human nature. What changes is the tool. So, and generally speaking, humans love anything that makes life easier. So we ask the question, what might we be trading away in return to this great technological advancement? And that is where the real conversation begins.
Okay, thank you.
Mike? Are you there? Or is it just you, Nadio?
I can see me. I can't see anybody else.
What is going on here?
But I can hear you. And Mike, you there? Shall we just plow through?
Well, maybe we should introduce ourselves.
How's that? Are we all there now? Are we all here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what's been going on this morning. All chaos, all chaos. That's because we've been relying on AI. That's the problem. Hopefully my echo's
Not
gone.
blaming AI for everything. That's
we are. I completely blame AI for this. And now I was told earlier that there was an echo. I'm hoping that echo's gone. If it hasn't gone, please let us know. I think the key thing is that ChatGPT says that AI does affect our ability to do critical thinking, but apparently there's nuance. So it is worth having a conversation. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah.
So here we are, hopefully without any more technical flaws this morning. And if we do have technical flaws, you can understand it's all the fault of AI. But let's introduce our guests today, because today we've got three fantastic guests. We've got Nicole Zethaleas, Mercedes Zethaleas, a future thinker, blending ESG pragmatism with bold ideas. Nicole challenges norms, champions clean capitalism, innovation, and makes sustainability irresistibly strategic and human. Irresistibly strategic, Nicole. I like that. And then we've got Kelly. Kelly, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to tell me how to pronounce your surname, because I think I'm going to butcher it.
So my surname is Meyers.
Meyers. Okay, well, that's not that difficult. And Kelly is an AI strategist, an innovative leader, helping organizations navigate how artificial intelligence reshapes businesses, people, and innovation. And finally, we have got Nadia Granata.
Not bad. Granata.
You don't sound like a Granata, Nadia. SCIM, FHEE, a geecologist. I have no idea what that is.
GCologist.
The GCologist. I don't know what that is. You're going to have to tell us what that is. And he's the founder of Earth 2.0, a movement to support us as we transition through catastrophic discontinuity to a post-generative AI world. He's a best-selling author, AI socialist, and corporate trainer who's an advocate for democratizing fair and equal access to responsible AI globally. And what's a GCologist then?
Funny enough, I was on a call with the Oman Institute of Energy yesterday, and I was trying to explain, and I couldn't pronounce it, and an Omani pronounced it better than me. It's the GC index is right. I'm gonna get this wrong. It's an organimatron. No, an organ.
It sounds like something from a Woody Allen film to me.
It's organizational management. It's about how to manage organizations. So a GCologist looks at the game-changing characteristics of people in organizations.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Nadia. So let's get straight into it, shall we? So was it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I think it said some people thought it was a mistake coming down from the trees, and then other people said, well, even the trees was a mistake and we shouldn't have left the ocean. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I do sometimes think that humanity may have been better off before the internet and smartphones. I wonder if one day I'll feel that about AI too. So look, I'm hopelessly addicted to my iPhone. I haven't read a novel in years. I used to be a big novel reader. It just doesn't work for me anymore. And that used to be a great pleasure of mine as well. And a paper last year written by Michael Gerlich argued that while AI improves efficiency in decision-making, heavy reliance on it may also reduce critical thinking through cognitive overloading, which begs the question on human use of AI. Nicole, are we in trouble?
Well, Mike, that depends on who we is. I once heard from an AI expert compare artificial intelligence to a knife, which I thought was brilliant, because they said that you can use the knife to prepare a beautiful meal, for instance, or harm another person or accidentally harm yourself. And the tool itself is neutral. The outcome depends on the behavior of the human holding the tool. So if you're using AI to, for instance, replace your ability to think, decide, analyze, or tolerate uncertainty, then yes, you could absolutely be in trouble. If you're asking Claude or ChatGPT if you should date a person or not, for instance, maybe is putting too much of a decision on a tool instead of on yourself. But if you're using AI to pressure test your ideas, for instance, or identify patterns in large data sets, or challenge assumptions and accelerate your learning. For instance, Kelly mentioned a really interesting application earlier that I'm going to look up later on. Or even, looking at augmenting human capability, then yes, it's a very different tool to use, and it's groundbreaking. The problem is not intelligence augmentation. The problem is cognitive surrender. There was a really interesting article about that. And I think that we need to stop discussing AI in absolutes and start discussing human behavior on a spectrum. So my question to Kelly is, when it comes to cognitive surrender, how do you think that spectrum would look? Is that a reasonable way to look at the situation?
Well, yes. I think it's actually where the debate is becoming very interesting, because some say that AI doesn't eliminate critical thinking, and it shifts. But I also think we're spending too much time on AI and gathering information and producing things. So we're spending more time actually now evaluating, verifying, and integrating AI generated content. But also that makes us very lazy because it looks flawless. It looks great. And we can see that the first 3 times it was very good. And then the fourth time we say like, well, it should have been fine. It looks great. It sounds right. And we're sending it out. And so we will become lazy by doing it, by using it actually. And there's also evidence from multiple studies that people often move from task execution to oversight when using AI. And in other words, the cognitive effort changes rather than disappears. But that's also, I think we also need that. Honestly, we're in this pressure cooking, like this present, the pressure that we're having at work, outside. We need to incorporate knowledge very fast, and then using AI is a simple way to do that. And as humans, we like it to make it easy. We like to make it easy for ourselves. And we don't always think about what would be the better way. So participations like with multiple AIs, it shows that we have a lower cognitive engagement and a weaker memory. But yeah, we can also use it to be more efficient. And yeah, what do we want?
Okay, well, thank you for that, Kelly. So I can remember a few years ago, I was buying something in a supermarket and the cashier typed in the total and it was something ridiculous. It was like 2 zeros too many. And she didn't spot it. You know, oh, that'll be £300, please. You know, I'd only bought a couple of batteries or something. And I said to her, that's not right. And she looked at me, well, that's what, you know, and then she said, oh, no, it's not right, is it? But for just a split second, she'd let the computer control what she was thinking it in a funny kind of way. And I think that, so that's got nothing to do with AI. But, you know, it was forever thus. You know, I think that whenever technology comes along, it has a negative and it always has a positive effect. And in that particular case with the supermarket, she just wasn't thinking. She becomes so reliant on the computer. And maybe ever so slightly, people lost a slight intuitive feel for what numbers should say. I mean, my father, for example, he knew his 12 times table so well. You know, you asked him what a 7/8, he would give you the answer before you finished the question. You know, as it happens, I do know what 7/8 are. It's 56, I think. But I do have to think about it for a split second. It's not instant. My father, it was instant. But then equally, my father couldn't tell you what the double slit experiment was all about. So I think that technology gives and it giveth and it taketh away, you know? And so maybe human cognition is constantly relocating itself. The question is whether AI is just another stage of that evolution, or whether this time the trade-off is fundamentally different. Nicole, is it fundamentally different this time?
Yeah. Well, I think Kelly had a really good point now, is that what she was saying was that there's so much information coming in. We have to have a tool to help us digest it almost, because how else do we cope with the day? So, I mean, if you ask me, cognitive debt on society is not entirely new at all. It's a part of human evolution. You know, we think about we lose certain capabilities while gaining others. I don't know how to, you know, let's say pick berries, for instance, without using a book. But when I was a child, my grandmother, who happens to be a mathematician, refused to let me use a calculator, which I thought was just like, how could she? And she was worried. The reason why was she was worried that it would weaken my brain development at the time. So she made me use an abacus, like, instead, to do my homework, like, you know, crazy. But I thought it was crazy, and I thought it was so troublesome. And but I could also turn around and say to her, and ask her, you know, why she doesn't remember all of the edible or poisonous plants like her mother knew by memory, going through the German forests. You know, do you know this? If this mushroom, can I eat it or not? She would be like, you'll probably die because I don't know. So yeah, we could turn around and then just say, like, humans outsource skills constantly, and this is a natural thing. We outsourced navigation to GPS. Not very many people in a younger generation even know how to read a map. Our memory to all of our smartphones, you know, physical labor has been replaced by machines, and now we're beginning to outsource cognition itself. And the real question here is, which cognitive abilities are worth preserving at all costs, regardless, because not every skill or loss of it is catastrophic, but some may be fundamental to judgment, reasoning, creativity, and identity and character even. So, yeah. Nadia, what is your take on cognitive debts on society, and from a spectrum of complete doomsday to, like, you know, in the human decline to evolutionary utopia? Like, where are you on this spectrum?
Thank you. Well, I am an optimist. I'm gonna start the whole of this session off by saying I am an optimist. I actually wrote a vow of AI positivity about 3 years ago on my website, and if I had a bit more time, I'd go back and change it, actually, because I'm not quite as positive as I was 3 years ago. So it's on my list of things to do. But why am I not so positive, and where do I think we're going with on the spectrum here? I would say I don't have a problem with AI. I think AI is absolutely amazing, and I think the things we can do with it are phenomenal. And let's get on with it. But I do have a problem with society. I have a problem with pedagogy. I have a problem with the learning institutions. I have a problem with us thinking that learning is linear. And it's, you know, just because you're 6, you're in that class for 6-year-olds, and the 10-year-old is in the class for 10-year-olds. So I think we need to allow the AI to do what it does, but we need to educate people. You don't, you know, even when you walk on the pavement, you don't expect the cars or the vehicles going past you to run you over. You know, we haven't had that training with AI. AI is a very, very sophisticated utility, and it's incredible that we haven't had the training that goes with such a utility. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, but yeah, I think bring it on, but let's make sure that we're trained properly to use it. And if it does take some of that cognitive load off us, then we've got to find ways of putting that time and effort elsewhere. Professor Ian Pickford, I get it, Pickford or Pickup, He's the head of education at the OU, Open University. And I had a similar conversation with him about 18 months ago. And I said, what do I say to people who say to me that our kids, for the want of a different word, are learning how to get the answer. They're learning how to give the answer, but not how to create that answer. And I said, how do you feel about that? And he said, I don't care. He said, I want my students to get to the answer as quick, safely, and responsibly as possible, so they can do great things with that information when they get there. So I bought into that. I don't need to know what are cosines and all that. I mean, Michael, I'm looking at you here because I'm thinking we might be of a similar generation. But I remember having a little.
I was born in the year 2000. So.
Thanks for that. But do you remember going through these little pamphletty thing and trying to figure out cosines and things like this? And it's like, I don't know, just totally irrelevant to me now. And thank goodness I'm not wasting my time trying to figure out cosines. I'm doing something better with my time. So it's not this. My answer is, it's not a problem with the AI. It's a problem with society. We need to smarten up, and we need to get on the bus and get on with it.
All right, well, thank you for that. So Socrates himself was permanently against writing. He said that it would weaken human memory and create the illusion of wisdom without true understanding. And yet here we are, thousands of years later, still debating whether new technology is making us intellectually weaker. Now, look, I did Shakespeare at school, and I can still recite Shakespeare passages. And it was painful. It hurt learning those things. But isn't learning meant to be painful? Is it not meant to be a little bit of pain in memorizing things, in learning? It's not meant to be easy, is it? Because if it's easy, we're not really learning. Kelly, what do you think?
So I'm going to try this in my best English that I can, okay? Because it's going to be a little bit of scientific here. Yes, you need to have friction to actually learn something and to memorize things and to understand things and to see connections between another. And that's all because there are these waves in your brain, these neuro waves, that word. And then you need to have that to actually create your creativity, to create critical thinking, to see how you can imagine things, you can fantasize about things, and you memorize also the solution about how to solve things and how to gather information and how to use it in your daily life. And right now, actually, what we're doing is we're phasing that out. We're phasing out the friction that is needed to actually learn and to have a better memory, to have a better brain, and to work that out, because we're giving that all to AI, generative AI, and it spits out exactly what you need. And you need to just, I think that's fine. You don't even have to control you don't have to control it actually exactly. It's hallucinating sometimes, but you're fine with that. And that's why I think friction is very good for your memory, because it creates so much brain activity. You need to have that. And otherwise, if you don't have that brain activity, well, the Netherlands is full of water. They're all roads of water, and so your brain is also all roads of neuro waves, and it's very good. And actually, what we're doing is we're plumbing, and we're not using it anymore, and it goes away. And that also goes away, that no biodiversity anymore, and you need to have biodiversity in your brain to actually have the creativity and to do your task.
Well, Kelly, I got some good news for you. You didn't have to worry about your English. You explained that very well.
Okay,
And Nadio, so is that it then? Are we outsourcing the difficult bit of learning? And isn't the difficult bit of learning the bit that really matters?
And you expect me to articulate that as well as Kelly's just articulated what she said. Oh my God.
I think we would all struggle to do that.
I think I go back to my very first point. I'm an optimist. And if we are, to Kelly's point, if we are outsourcing, if we are not using our brains quite as much as we used to for certain things, I don't use my, I'm traveling. I don't know where I am. Where am I? I'm in Langkawi. I'm in Langkawi today. I'm in Kuala Lumpur tomorrow, and I'll soon be back in Old Blighty, back in England after 4 months on the road. But I don't spend time calculating the currencies in the countries that I'm in. I just sit, it's just done on my phone. It's just bang, But I do spend a little bit more time reading about the history of the place or the culture, or I spend more time speaking to people that are in the shops and the hotels. Maybe. So it's down to human. It's our choice. If we are using our brain less for some of the mundane stuff, then we have a choice. I'm writing books. I was going to say a book. I'm not. I'm writing 3 books. I never, ever, ever dreamt of being able to write 1 book, never mind 3 books. And I'm very happy that the content of the books that I'm writing, we've got Professor Sylvain on the call here. We've got Klaus on the call as well. They're both authors. Sylvain just signed off my chapter for his book. I'm pretty confident it's very well written. And I wrote it myself, but I use AI for the scaffolding. I use AI to scaffold the writing, and I use AI to blend some of the research. Those are skills. Those are new skills. They are skills that I am happy to train people in, but I'll be quite honest with you, they're tough skills. They're really, really tough skills. So I might not be using my brain quite so much to do some of the research because I'm clicking a button and I'm getting my research, in front of me pretty quickly. I'm old enough to know what it was like to do a degree and to do, 5 hours in a library to get 1 half-a-page piece of research out of it. Do I want to go back to that pain? Am I a lesser human because I'm not in such pain anymore? I don't think so. I think I'm diverting that pain and that time into other things, but it takes effort and discipline, and I don't think we are there yet. We've got people. I'm just helping someone write another book at the moment, and we're talking about AI yoga. We're going to be practicing it at our event in June, and she said, "What do you mean by AI yoga?" And we went through it all, and she's a yoga master, and she's, "Oh my goodness, I think it's amazing." And that's where did that come from? So my brain's definitely not got lazy. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay, all right. So I've been trying to write a novel myself recently, and I have been using AI. And I tell you how I've been using it. I've been trying to incorporate some elements of quantum mechanics with that. Now, I've watched videos on quantum mechanics, and I read books on the subject, and whoa, it's gone over my head. I'm really struggling to understand it. So I got ChatGPT to explain it to me, and it did a really good job, I thought. And also, if you're a professional writer, which I have been for many years, we rely on editors. So what's wrong with having AI as an editor? I don't know. Nicole, what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, would we vilify a watchmaker for using a magnifying glass as they're working on their stuff? You know what I mean? Right? I mean, what you guys are saying is has a point to it, right? But on the other hand, I have to agree with Kelly. I think that modern society is completely undervaluing inconvenience. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of meaningful growth comes from that friction that Kelly was talking about. The struggle, the practice, the failure, the uncertainty, the repetition, all of that. I mean, some of the greatest stories ever created were about overcoming some obstacle that would seem impossible, right? And that gave people hope and the creative, the possibility, the imagination.
Sam and Frodo's impossible journey to Mordor, for example.
Yes, and being a hobbit, yeah, and getting through all this scary stuff, right? So, you know, there is something deeply formative about wrestling with difficulty and eventually mastering it. It's a beautiful thing about living, I think. So no shortcut can actually replace that confidence, the resilience, the character that you earn, that comes with that earned competence. Even the failures, there's earned competence.
Sorry, Nico, can I just jump in? I don't think it'll go away. You just move it further down the line, down the road. You're kicking the. It won't disappear. We will always need resilience. We will always need those human qualities.
Totally. But we also have to consider that we take it for granted in different generations. You know, you look at the generation before you, the greatest generation, and how they went through and overcame, and they thought, you know, the boomers were soft, you know, like, so these hardships we have to. I was very formed by my grandparents, very much, because they were like, you think your life is tough? You should have lived during World War II. You know, they talk about different kinds of struggles and how some of the greatest creativity, some of the greatest parts of imagination came from that. You know, the mindfulness of reflection, just the simplicity of taking notes with a pen and a paper to cognitively build that. You know, there's that saying that if you don't use it, you lose it. And I think that this is where we're coming at here. If you're not cognitively and also aware that you're not using these skills, you'll lose them. Right?
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, God, did my parents talk about what they did in the war? I think that's all they used to talk about when I was a kid, to be honest with you. But I get what you mean. When you're writing it down with a pen, it almost helps you understand it, doesn't it? But can I just play devil's advocate? I'm going to ask you a question, Nadia, which I haven't prepared you for, but it's not a serious question. But I'm not going to ask Kelly and Nico because it's an unfair question, because English isn't your first language. Have you ever read a book by Charles Dickens, Nadia?
I have.
Have you? Could you manage it today?
Could I manage? Could I physically read that book? Yes. Yeah.
Do you reckon? Because I think that I did when I was a kid. But a few years ago, I attempted to read another book, and by page 150, I'd lost the will to live. And I think my point is that concentration changes, you know? I don't think this is a new problem. I think that it's always been like that with new technology. You know, I would struggle to read a book by Dickens now, but I don't think that the Victorians would have done. I think a Victorian with half the education I have had would have sailed through a book by Dickens. So I'm saying things change. They're not necessarily worse. You know, they're just different. I don't know.
Sorry, Mike, can I jump in there? Would that Dickens reader in the, I don't know, the 1920s, whatever period you're talking about, would that reader have been able to play Wordle?
Well, probably not. Probably not. No, I don't know. I have no idea. I got it in one.
Tetris.
The last time I played Wordle, I got it in one, and I never played it again because I didn't want to spoil my record.
How can you get Wordle in one?
I managed it. I've been doing it every day for about 3 years. But anyhow, okay.
Kelly's got something to say. Look, she's
Kelly.
I'm just thinking about what is Wordle.
It's a word game. You have to guess a word. You've got. I think it's 5 letters.
I read books, so I don't have to play the word games. I read.
Right. Okay. All right. It's a good game. Wordle. It's a good game.
Okay, good. Look it up.
Quordle as well. You play 4 Wordle games in one. It's called Quordle.
Yeah, I've played that too. Yeah. Nicole and Kelly, have you got anything to add to this particular point that this is nothing new? It's always been like that. You know, Socrates didn't like writing. I can't read it was Bleak House was the Dickens book, which I gave up at after page 150. I think the first sentence was about a page long. Well, my point is, it's nothing new. It's always been like this, and that AI is just another example of something that's evolving, it's changing, but not necessarily getting worse.
Nicole, you want to start?
Oh, please, Kelly, you first.
Okay. So I never tried Charles Dickens. It was not on my reading list, but I'm very dyslexia. I have dyslexia, so I have a very problem with reading, and so but I read 2 to 3 books a month because I have my e-reader, and I have bigger letters, and the space between it is better, and when I need to read a very big research, I just put it in AI and it reads for me, or I create a podcast about it. And so, but when you do that, your attention span goes to different things. And so my attention span is smaller at the moment. Same as if you look at, I'm always double screening, sometimes triple screening when I'm watching a movie. When was the last time that you watched a movie or a series and you didn't have your phone in your hand? You're always doing that. So your attention span is getting smaller and smaller. And so, and that's also...
Or broader and broader.
Well, you cannot... It's getting broader and broader, but you cannot focus. Your focus is different. And that's also the 30-second industry that we're seeing right now on social media. Like, if I'm posting a social media video, everyone has said to me, not larger than 20 seconds, because otherwise you're losing your clients or your customers. Don't do that, right? So
it'll be great when dissertations are only 1 page long.
Oh, that would be like...
Okay, so you've been talking for more than 30 seconds now, Kelly. Nicole, what do you think about that?
Well, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Very, very good. Very good. Yeah.
But in all honesty, I think it is nothing new. It really isn't. What happens when something new is introduced in humankind? We all freak out. I remember my grandparents saying the TV would rot my brain. I don't think my brain is rotten, although I don't watch much TV these days, and I don't have social media so much either. So I am a little bit strange for my generation, not being too connected. But I think there needs to be a mindfulness and a balance of everything, and we often don't talk about that balance and how important reflection is.
But coming to that, sorry to interrupt, we have a question, right? We have a comment from Peter Binder.
Well, I thought it was a very good question.
Yes, and I love that one. And
it does remind me, before you go on, it does remind me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because according to Hitchhiker's Galaxy, the answer is 42, isn't it? But I think the question was something like, what's 6 times 8 or something like that. But back to you, Kelly. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I always love that when I talk to Nicole, she's not that much on social media, and she has this brain that goes bum 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 bum, and she gives perfect answers, but her questions are fantastic. And so you know that I like that about you, but what about, so how do you improve your ability to actually ask the right questions, and how do you do that?
It's a taught skill. This is the whole point that I'm making. When we drive down the road, we were taught what side of the road to drive. I think, Kelly, you drive on the wrong side of the road, but most of us drive on the right side of the road, and we were told that, and that's an instinct now. But we haven't got to that point with this new utility. AI is I've got an event coming up, and I was criticizing somebody else a few months ago. She said, I went to this AI show. It's like I went to this electricity show. or I went to this gas show.
Yeah.
You don't. Should soon we won't be talking about it being an AI. We'll be
An
talking
oxygen
about
show. We went to this show on oxygen. We all breathed. Yeah. Like that, right?
We were learning how to breathe. Yeah, it was a breathe. Well, there are actually like things like that, where people get together and they do breathing techniques. So not too far off, Mike.
Yeah, and we'll bring it into our AI yoga classes, Kelly, Nicole.
Okay. But do you think there's a danger, though, that in this era we live in which quarterly profits seem to be all that matters, and the AI companies are in a battle to see which one get to $1 trillion next? We've got companies being about to be listed on the stock market. We've got some IPOs coming up, and they're going to be the first IPOs in history in which companies are worth $1 trillion. And they're automatically going into the S&P 500 because they've relaxed the rules. And the rules of the S&P 500 used to be you have to be traded, you have to be listed for a certain period of time before you're allowed to go in that index. Well, that's gone now. So do you think in this race, this focus on quarterly profits at all costs, a higher share price at all costs, is there a danger than that mad rush we're gonna forget about these things that really matter? It's not that AI can't be a tool for good, but is there a danger that it won't be because it will get lost in the fog of a chase for profits?
Who are you asking?
Well, you're nodding your head a lot there, Natalie. So I thought I'd let you go first, and then I'll hand it over to the ladies.
I am very concerned. I'm less concerned, Kelly, about the brain and about how we manage the cognitive processes. I'm more concerned about society, and I'm far more concerned about the mix between AI and capitalism, because to your point, Michael, or to what you're alluding to there, it's illegal. When we run our limited companies or our PLCs, it's illegal not to try and return the best profit you can. You directors can be sent to prison for it. I find it strange that politicians can't be sent to prison for lying, but big company owners
in Wales they can.
They can't. We've not in the UK. It's
because the prisons aren't big enough. That's the problem there.
Anyway, but yes, I think AI will. The numbers that you see regularly from KPMG, from Deloitte, from any of the consultancies, they're around about 40% efficiency savings on routine works, on routine processes, and when that gets transferred through the organization, the shareholders are looking for 40% savings. You want 40% reduction in headcount. That's how it's going to play out. So yes, I think I would like to. Oh God, I'm stopping short of saying this because it's on record, but I'm thinking we should consider a tax on AI. Because we need to educate everybody, not just the privileged few.
Okay, that's really good point. And that's a controversial thing you said. Sorry, I didn't catch who it was that speaking. Was that you, Nicole, that was speaking?
Yeah, that was me. I mean, right. I think blaming AI companies alone could oversimplify it. And the interesting thing on the tax that you just said, I mean, how does that affect the individual? Is it more pressure on individuals than it is on corporations? But I totally agree with you that, capitalism rewards efficiency, scale, speed, convenience. And AI is just the latest tool, essentially. So, the uncomfortable truth here is that, society often demands convenience first and then asks the ethical questions later.
Yes.
Right. So if we've already seen what happens when advocacy movements become disconnected from economic reality. So, people stop listening. They don't care as much,
Kelly, and you're I'm so sorry, Nicole, I interrupted you.
No, please. I was just going to say that, if we aim for a healthier digital behavior, the conversation shouldn't just be like moralistic or anti-technology. We have to be practical about the situation, you know, economically realistic. What is economically realistic? As Nadia said, like companies still have to make money, and then the social sustainability aspect, and like psychologically honest. Like otherwise, maybe we'll reject the idea of taxing or policy or ethics in general around AI.
Okay. Kelly, now you made a comment about how apparently there has been an attempt to ban lying in Wales, and that has led to fears about free speech, the freedom to speak lies. I'll let you into a secret. I used to lie to my kids when they were little. I used to tell them that there's.
We just talked about can we make politicians stop lying? So
Yeah, well, I used to tell them this man in a red coat with a white beard used to come down the chimney. You know.
Yeah. So, but can
Kelly,
we
over
stop?
to you.
Yeah, can we stop AI by lying to us? And that's also because it's actually how they designed the models to lie to us and to put us in our bubble. It is designed to actually put us in a perspective that we really like and that we enjoy and that we are happy. And it's we're getting addicted to it because it's so nice to us. Nobody is that nice to us.
No, it's true.
That's how it's built. It's built also to not ask critical questions to you. And so actually, if you are if you're using AI, just start using the prompt that's always using be very be not polite to me. Just ask the right questions.
No sugarcoat.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat me. That's actually what you need to have that in your settings. And by doing that, by designing the models like that, it's actually they're not doing the best to humanity.
Okay.
If that is what you want, if you want to buy in from your customers, then it's not for humanity. You're doing it for profit. And yes, we need to teach ourselves. But I just saw this news that Finland is going to give everybody in the world free AI courses. Very good, the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, go Finland.
So, I mean, I've heard some two really interesting.
Doing that.
I've heard some two really interesting ideas: an AI tax, and for AI not to be so polite. It's something Asimov didn't think of, isn't it? When he came up with the 3 laws of robotics, Isaac Asimov. He didn't think of that one. He didn't think of that. A robot cannot harm a human, or through inaction harm a human. It has to obey humans. It has to look up. We never thought of. Don't be so nice. Be rude occasionally. Never thought of that particular rule. But I thought it's a really interesting one. Can we just finish off a minute each with the big, most important question of all, which is, what are we going to do about it? How do we teach humans to be masters of AI rather than slaves of AI, rather than for AI to be masters of us? Anyone wants to go first on that question?
I'll go first.
Nick,
I'm going to ask some questions out there. So this maybe is more focused towards children, but like my last thoughts here are, how can we intentionally preserve some of these hard mode experiences, right? Use a library, hike a difficult trail, build friendships outside of algorithms. Can you sit silently without any stimulation? Can you tolerate boredom? These sort of things. Let's go hard mode. I think that is one of the answers to this, is a balance between using this great tool and also remembering that we need to be innately human and have struggle. This frictionless society that we're trying to create, maybe we should push back just a little.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, I agree to that. Just more friction. Just before you ask a question to an AI model, just sit down by yourself for 10 minutes and see if you can actually come up with the question yourself. Because most of the things you actually know it's in your unconsciousness. And then also ask the questions. We talked about social impact right now, but by building all these, and I'm going to the ecology right now, building all these data centers to actually apply AI in our daily life, it's actually destroying our ecology. So that's my takeaway. Just think about it. Ask the critical questions, please.
Okay. And Nadia.
Commit to it. Commit to it globally, internationally, interconnectively. Have one universal driving license that everybody subscribes to from the age of 12 upwards. We're all qualified to use responsible AI, and we get better and better. We get better. It gets better. We save up, we do less prompting, Kelly. We stop doing 50,000 prompts because we're better at doing it, which reduces the amount of energy using. I think there's no stopping it. The genie is out, guys. So, and it will never, ever go back in. So it's down to education. And one last point, you mentioned Finland, was it? Norway. Keep an eye on universal basic income because, you know, society will change. It has to change. And it might be that we go down the universal basic income where, you know, people get paid the same amount of money, and it takes away some of that capitalism.
And incidentally, you do have a YouTube channel for Sustainably Talking, and if you dig deep into the YouTube channel, you will find some videos on universal basic income. Something I'm a bit of a fan of myself. So so I asked ChatGPT why. I said, ChatGPT, I missed the beginning of the show. We had some technical issues. Why was that? And don't be nice to me. And it said it's because you're an idiot, Michael. So there you go. There you have it.
More training.
Thank you very much, guys. Before we close, does anybody want to say a last word, or do you think you've said your piece now?
Two
Thanks for
words.
having me. Sorry?
Right.
Mine's 2 words. Mine's hybrid intelligence. It's all about hybrid intelligence.
Hybrid intelligence.
That's
Nicole, Kelly, have you got 1 or 2 words each, or thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. See you all next week. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.